Hey everyone. Thank you for joining us again today. It's a lovely Sunday here in Pennsylvania. My name is Jason Leeser. I'm going to be hosting today's live drawing group. Thank you for joining me. We do these every Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. Thanks to the Reinventing the Tattoo app and community, where you can find excellent feedback, critiques. You can start really growing and really pushing who you are and what you do. Today's episode is brought to you by a few sponsors, and I've got them all written down. This way I don't forget anyone. Inkjet stencils. If you guys have not tried inkjet stencils, you have no idea what you're missing out on. Being able to print a legitimate photograph and use that as a stencil for a tattoo is absolutely incredible. Not only can it do that, but if you want to talk about line work, you can print off some of the crispiest line work for a stencil you have ever seen in your life. It doesn't take a whole lot to get used to using it. Highly recommend it. And the stencils are amazing. Loose Screw Tattoo with Jesse Smith. You guys are looking for your dream job. I mean, this place offers 401k, health benefits, you name it. It is incredible. Okay. Highly recommend you check that out. Cheyenne Tattoo Equipment. Um, Definitely recommend checking out anything made by Cheyenne. They've got quality stuff. They've been a leader in innovation in the tattoo community for a very long time. And as always, raw pigments. Raw pigments are quality acrylic-free pigments that are absolutely incredible. I know I've been using a few of them lately, and the saturation you get and the intensity of those pigments as they're healed, it's just incredible. So definitely take a look at those raw pigments. I've been using Cheyenne tattoo equipment for a while. Recently picked up a few other machines. I'm just giving a little bit of a field test too, but Cheyennes have always been my go-to. So thank you very much for allowing us to be able to host these sessions. And I also wanted to point out that if at any point in time anyone wants to join the subscriber discussions and you want to get a subscription, you really want to take your artwork to the next level, we are offering a 10% subscriber discount. And to get that, simply plug in this URL for your subscription. The subscription will give you all types of inside access, not just to the Reinventing the Tattoo canon, which, by the way, has a ton of new updated content, even since December. A lot of new stuff has been added, and there's a lot more stuff that's going to be added over the next few months. It's not something you're going to want to miss out on. I mean, everything from guides and walkthroughs from Steve Butcher and Russ Abbott to to Procreate tips and tricks by yours truly. There's some absolute amazing stuff in there that you do not want to miss out on. So to get your 10% off the subscription, which already is pretty cheap, it's less than $1 a day. To get your 10% off of that, simply plug in reinventingthetattoo.com/next level. Really start taking your work up to that next level. As always, my name is Jason, and I'm going to be leading the drawing group today. We've got looks like Ricardo joined us, and looks like we got someone else with us. I'm going to ask them to unmute. Go ahead, unmute yourselves.
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? That's Ricardo. Let me remove the pin. There
How you doing today?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Long time no see.
I know, right? It's been what, like a whole 12 hours?
12 hours or so? Yeah, something like that.
Ricardo and I just got done starting a collaborative back piece that we were working on all day yesterday, and it's moving forward. It's coming together. You know, definitely one more session, maybe another one after that, just to tighten and really solidify things. But should be pretty cool.
It's gonna be
Looks like we
awesome.
got Bruno here with us.
Hey guys,
Oh, hi.
Bruno,
how's it going? Just
going all
take
right.
the camera thing real quick.
Hey Bruno, I don't know if you can take a look in the background, but looks like I have a kind of familiar painting of yours hanging up in the background.
This one? Nice.
No, it's actually one that Bruno made. It's right back there.
Oh, okay,
Nice,
okay.
man.
Yeah,
You got it.
yeah, I just got that in the mail yesterday, so I had to hang that up. And right
Badass,
next to
man.
that's one of Guy Aitchison's original oil paintings that he was selling on Instagram. And I was like, "Oh, mine!"
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad you got it, man.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Uh,
I got it. Yours in the mail as well, Bruno.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm
Quite
glad. I'm
excited.
glad they made it safe.
Yep.
Yeah, that the quality. Hope the quality of the print was good. That company usually comes through.
It's
I think
incredible.
think it's easy canvas print.
Sounds awesome, man.
How you guys doing? How is that, man? That back piece is coming along like amazing.
We got
Like,
more work
you
done on
guys
that
flew.
yesterday than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought you guys maybe were gonna work on it like 2 days in a row, but like for one day, that was a lot of work, man. And that was a great session. Like,
Yeah, it was 6 hours straight in one day.
yeah, man, that looked like a lot of fun, dude.
Oh, it was a blast, an absolute blast.
And the cover up part is coming along.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing I always like to try to work on, like right from the get go, without getting too crazy into other things. I always like to go through and just start blocking in and really working on that cover up, throwing in a lot of opaque grays and, just really working on making sure that that's toned down enough so that when I do go back into it with color, I can blast color right over top of those opaque grays. And I know that that tattoo is going to disappear, like the underlying tattoo.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just kind of my methodology for what I do. Everyone's got their own process and their own tips and techniques and methods that they prefer to use. So, which, is up to everyone individually. It's definitely something that, everyone's got their own process. It's the best way I can really put it.
That one blew my mind.
Well,
So
Ricardo,
how
it
did you
doesn't take a
guys
whole lot to blow your mind. So,
I
how
live in
did
a
you
very
guys
happy world.
sorry.
What's that?
No, I was wondering how did you guys start on to take on this project? Like you got pictures of the guy's back and you kind of passed around the like a rough sketch of it, or how did you guys go about that?
That's all yours,
yeah.
Jason.
So I've got like a little process that I always go through whenever I'm working on a piece, like that. Um, it's pretty similar to the way that I try to do most tattoos. I always like to start off with a photo of the area, and it doesn't matter if it's a leg, an arm, an upper arm, a small area, or a big area. I always like to get a photo of the individual area, especially if you're working with a cover up. Go through, you get a photo of the area, you get some dimensions. And that's one thing that, I mean, I know I've talked a lot about before is knowing the size of the area that you're going to be working in, right?
Right.
Because without knowing that, you're kind of taking a stab in the dark and you're kind of sitting back saying to yourself, okay, well, I think it's going to be about this big, but maybe it's not that big. Maybe it's, I think it all depends on, obviously the size of the piece that you're going to be doing. But just like, anyone else, like I was telling the client yesterday, who's not, he's maybe my height, maybe a little bit shorter, but you know, we're not very tall guys. But the photo that he originally sent of his back makes him look like he's like 6'2" or 6'3".
Right.
So it totally different mindset when you're going into a piece that big versus a piece a bit smaller, right? So I always like to get an idea of size of the area that I'm working with. From there, we sat down, threw that into Procreate, started sketching and drawing, came up with about 5 or 6 different ideas and designs, got them on a Zoom call, started going back and forth and saying, hey, listen, here's the rough ideas we came up with. You know, let us know what direction you like and what direction you want to head in. And then once we got that down, we took off running. Came up with everything. He didn't even see the finalized design until yesterday when we came in to stencil it. So, you know, it's always interesting to go through and just see what everyone else's process is. Like I said, that's just the way I do things. And you know, I try to focus on efficiency and doing things in some of the most efficient ways possible. But I'm always open for other ideas, for new ways of looking at things, new ways of doing things. And, you know, I'm always open for feedback on what can be improved upon. You know, but I think like the system that I have in place now it's works pretty well, you know, for the most part.
Yeah, it looks like it, man. It was very effective.
Yeah, Ricardo was kind of taken back. He's like, dude, you literally just printed out that design, like printed out the stencil, taped it together, threw it on his back, and it was perfect. I'm like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, blew
Yeah,
my mind, dude.
I'm sure that, you know, that kind of like saves a lot of energy, you know, like the fact that you got that done so quickly kind of like allowed there to be extra energy for you guys to, you know, put on the actual tattooing process.
Oh, absolutely. And it takes away all the guesswork, right? You know, you're no longer are you guessing about, okay, well, now we can draw this part in, now we can draw that part in. No, it's already set and done. All you have to do is stencil it and go. Right? I mean, that's just kind of, you know, efficiency personified, in my opinion. Yes, it does take away some of the organic aspect of like sitting down, drawing things on, getting a flow for it as you're drawing it in there. But I'm coming from the perspective of, you know, I'm used to working in very high paced places, right?
Right.
I'm used to going through and having a line of people waiting to get tattooed, you know. So if I can save time by getting everything drawn out ahead of time, and I mean, even if it's something where I'm staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning the night before to go through and, you know, finalize a design, I'm going to do it because I know that that's time saved when I get into the studio, which means more tattooing I get to do during that allotted amount of time.
Exactly.
So we did just get a comment on the Facebook page by Ross. You must free your mind, go freehand, and make clients respect your decisions. It looks non-organic to do any art with structure. See, I can see the point at which you're making. And I do agree with you to an extent. However, you know, I think be the Da Vinci, not the Kat Von D, which I totally agree with. I agree with being the Da Vinci, not the Kat Von D. I do agree with that 100%. However, I always like to go in with a bit of prep work. Just because, especially when you're dealing with an awkward area and a cover up, you want to make sure that what you're doing is going to be effective when covering it up. And if you're spending 4 or 5 hours drawing something on there, you know, that's time when you could be tattooing. And I mean, if you're charging by the hour just to draw something on someone in Sharpie, that's great. You know, by all means, if that's what you can do, that's awesome. And if people agree to that, you know, amazing. But most people that I tattoo are paying for the actual tattoo. And the more time I spend drawing it on them, the less time I spend actually tattooing. So if I can get that prepared ahead of time so that I spend more time tattooing, then I feel like I'm accomplishing more that day.
Yeah, and also this dude had driven what 2 hours away from I'm 2 hours away, right?
Yep. Drove
Yep.
down from New York City. Met me in Philadelphia. He had family in the area, so he was planning on coming down eventually anyway. But you know, for someone that's driving any kind of a significant distance just to get tattooed by you, you kind of you want to be on the ball. You want to go through and at least have a general concept of what you're going to be doing and a rough idea of how things are going to be sitting. It's one thing to go through and be able to draw it on. I always take a lot of time and go through revisions and change my mind a whole bunch. So for me to sit down and like start sketching on someone, it might take 3 days for me to get something drawn on them in Sharpie. And by that time, they need a shower in the worst way. And, if you've got Sharpie on, I don't want you to hop in the shower and wash all that off, and I don't want to tattoo anyone that's stinky too. So, for me, it's like, all right, well, if I do all those revisions and change my mind that many times ahead of time, I can go in, start tattooing, and everyone's happy at the end of the day. That, once again, this is just the way I do things. And, I'm no one super famous. I'm no one that's, in the top, 15% of tattooers in the world. Most people don't even know who I am, which I'm okay with, by the way. That doesn't really bother me. But that's just my own methodology and what I found works well for me. Everyone's got their own thing, their own little twist on it. Ross, I can respect that, that's what you do, and that's incredible. And I'd love to actually sit down and watch you work one day, and just watch your whole process from client coming through the door, and getting it sketched on them and then rocking through and, just taking a look at everything. I would love to observe that. Maybe you've got some tricks in mind and some things that you do that I've never even thought of. So that would definitely be an eye-opening experience for me personally.
That's definitely the
Oh,
case,
yes.
man. I agree with that completely, Jason. Like just this weekend being around you, like there's products that you use that I've never even thought of using before. You know what I mean? And how much of a convenience that was all alone, all on its own. You know what I mean? And then just your approach, like you were talking about earlier, like with the cover up thing, like as far as covering the tattoo up and it being in a second layer almost, where you start introducing the colors that you already planned on using, but implementing that black and gray, that opaque black and gray that helps cover it up I was just like, oh man, that's awesome. I think I had like an aha moment. Aha.
Yeah, how it just like mutes it and covers it a bit so that when you blast over it with color, you're like, oh, okay, well that's there now.
Yeah.
And that's totally gone.
Right.
That's what I try to do, especially with cover-ups, which it makes for multiple sessions, but it's a cover-up. It's going to take multiple passes anyway.
Yeah. But yeah.
But it was, and I have to agree, man, like working alongside you and just watching your technique and how you were just saturating the hell out of different areas left and right, was like, it was like, oh, that's a different technique than I've seen. Let me give that a shot, and it's something
Yeah.
for me to take back to the studio, now that you're back at home. It's something for me to take back to the studio so that I can start applying that to what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like you said, like everybody has their own method and that you kind of like develop, through experience, and it's most likely it's going to be a good method. But then you get the opportunity to to do a collaboration with somebody, and then you kind of realize, oh yeah, like you guys are saying, like, oh yeah, that could be a good way to do it, even though my way is good, like maybe that way can be incorporated into my method, and those are like priceless things,
Right.
that you can only really get from these type of circumstances, and an open mind, of course.
Right. And I'm probably gonna butcher your name here, but Rashab, am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's correct. It's correct, man. It's Rishabh.
Yeah. Where are you tuning in from today, man?
I'm from India, man.
That's awesome, dude. What part?
Yeah. I'm from North India, close to Delhi,
Okay.
but I'm on the like foothills of Himachal, the mountains. I'm close to that.
Welcome.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, that's incredible.
What's
How's it going out
what's the
there?
tattoo scene like for you out there?
Uh, I would say it's pretty new in India, tattooing, like the professional tattooing. So it's about 10 to 15 years old, pretty much. And we are still exploring, we are still trying to understand more about tattooing and educate our clients because, those are the people who we get to tattoo. Yeah. So we try to learn ourselves and we're trying to educate our clients. So gradually we can have like, you know, better clientele, people asking
Right,
for
right.
more creative stuff and giving us more creative freedom and not just asking for the basic Pinterest work, that other people get to see and tattoo.
Oh, you mean you're not absolutely ecstatic about tattooing infinity signs every day?
It's something that we don't like doing. Most of the artists who do good work gradually, like I've been tattooing for about 11 years now, 11, 12 years. And I prefer doing more of my things that I would like to tattoo,
Gotcha.
and not just following what's famous or what's common, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's
So
pretty standard. We all like to do the artwork that we prefer to do. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I'll do Pinterest tattoos all day long just because I know it's going to pay my bills. Um,
yeah, but I think like as tattoo artists, most of the artists make decent money, but where things go wrong in like according to my understanding is that when people have more bills to pay, for unnecessary stuff, that is when they start, thinking about to have more and more money. So if you keep your needs pretty low, then you don't really need to go run behind the money, but you can actually figure out to do better work than just making money.
That's a good point.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think that a lot of it has to do with the clientele in that specific area. If you're in a
Yeah, yeah.
very commercialized area where people are looking at Pinterest all the time and that's
Most of
all
the
they've
people do,
seen.
man. Most of the people, I'm sorry to cut you there, but most of the
Yeah,
people who are first timers who are getting tattooed from artists who don't educate them, they are usually getting those tattoos only, because they don't know anything else about tattooing. And if the artist doesn't educate the client, it's not the client who's at fault,
right, right.
like I
Oh,
had
it's
people come in, wanted to get very basic stuff. Gradually we educate them, we try to do something custom. Gradually we made them understand what's the difference between copying something and creating something on your own. So our
absolutely
clientele is more like that, who understands that side of it now.
Great.
good. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually exactly what we
it's
talk about here quite a bit.
yeah, it's taking time for us to bring that change, but the studios that are doing good work are able to create that difference in the society.
And
It's great.
it's that form of education that I do believe is paramount. That's of the utmost importance in this community and in this culture in this day and age.
For the overall good.
Education is always paramount in everything.
Definitely, and it's not just about clients, it's about us as artists also, because in India there are so many artists that I see who don't even have themselves any tattoos. They just end up starting tattooing because they thought it's good money or it's cool life or something, you know but
Right.
they don't even themselves get tattooed, which is really really sad.
Yeah, that's something that always blew my mind. It's like if you're gonna do something, don't you want
Yeah,
to experience it yourself? How
exactly.
can and I know plenty of artists out there that they've got like one or two tattoos here or there. They might not have too many. Maybe they don't have full sleeves or a full bodysuit or anything. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying you have to have a full bodysuit, but you should at least experience, a good amount of what you're putting on other people,
Mhm.
because
I
that's going to
agree
directly
100%.
relate how you can relate to your individual clientele.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah,
I
you've
learn a
got to sit on the other side of the chair and see, experience it, pay for your tattoo, and see
Right.
how it feels.
Absolutely.
There are so many artists. So there are conventions that happen in India nowadays. Like, of course, not now, but in the past few years, there's been a few conventions happening. But the worst part is that when people come to these convention, most of the artists who are just visiting and who are not participating in the convention, they usually would roam around and go to artists and ask them if they need skin, to do a free tattoo and stuff like that. So I usually tell them that, you got to respect your art form. If you don't pay for your tattoo, why would your clients pay you?
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. Nothing in life is free. Oh,
definitely.
absolutely. I'm a
And
firm believer in that. Even my parents have asked me for tattoos, and it's like, cool, like here's my standard rate,
yeah.
and it's these are people that raised me and took care of me and clothed
Hmm.
me and fed me for the first part of my life, and it's like that's fine, but even my parents understand that, like, it's a part of respect.
Yeah.
It's a part of, I respect you and I support you, and I'm willing to pay a standard rate because I respect what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
And that's standard across the board. It doesn't matter if it's someone that I'm in a relationship with. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter if it's, I mean, I think the only people where I'll actually cut a little bit of a discount are
Hmm.
close friends that are also tattooers,
Yeah.
that might be trying to get a better understanding of the way that I do things.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
to me is like, okay, I know that you're trying to get a better grasp on this and you're not
Mm.
afraid to pay for it,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to force you to pay the whole amount because I know that you're here for a very specific reason to learn this.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
that you're a close friend of mine, you know,
Mm.
but that's really it. That's really
Yeah.
the only people that even get any kind of a little bit of a discount. That's only
Yeah.
because I want to help further the tattoo community.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to get together and figure out, like, oh well, how are you doing this and this in Procreate? How are
Mm.
you painting this? How are you drawing that? What's going through your mind at this point in time?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to go through and it's like, okay, let's follow the process all the way through. How's that sound? And everyone ends up you know coming out on top. Everyone ends up coming out with new knowledge.
Yeah.
But I mean, standard people that I don't really know, average Joes, or even other artists that I've never really met or communicated with or talked to in any kind of a way. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, but that I'm not looking to just do free shit. Like I have bills to pay, and if I'm traveling for a convention,
Hmm.
I don't want to put out all of the money to travel there, pay for a booth, pay for the hotel or a hostel or wherever I'm staying, plus the
Hmm.
airfare, plus food, plus drinks, plus transportation. All that adds up, you know?
Yeah.
So if I'm
Totally.
traveling, I'm not trying to do anything for free. Like, everything is going to be paid for.
Definitely.
And that's really
Completely
what
makes sense.
most of the money I
Yeah.
make goes to now, is just traveling and expanding on my own skill set and learning new things. And oh yeah, let me, this guy that I really want to get tattooed by is located over here and they don't really do any traveling. So let me fly out there and get tattooed by them so I can learn from them, and that's, I'm constantly reinvesting back into my own knowledge base.
That's awesome, man. What was the last tattoo that you got done?
Let's see. The last one I got done was on the back of my left half. And it was from another local tattooer that I have known, and I've known him for about 10 years, and I knew him, he was going through a pretty rough patch at one point where he was like, I don't know if I want to, keep tattooing, my heart's just not in it. And I just looked at him and I said, dude, what else are you going to do? You're a tattooer. Like, this is what you do. You're going to get over
Yeah.
this. You just need to be around the right people. And it's true.
Yeah.
He switched studios, got around the right people, got inspired again. And he owns his own studio now and he's just doing great. But I had him tattoo a tattoo machine on the back of my left calf. And
That's awesome. Yeah.
super, super traditional work. Very, very pepper shaded, very simplistic color schemes. I think he knocked the
Hmm.
whole tattoo out in an hour.
Yeah.
But it's one of my favorite tattoos, not just from the
Wow.
meaning behind it and who did it, but the fact that, I could see his progression over the past, 12 years.
Wow. That's great.
One of my favorite tattoos I've ever gotten was actually my side tattoo that I got done from a friend of mine named Phibbs, who now works over at Guru Tattoo in San Diego. And
Yeah. Fibs,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Fibs and Fibs, the guy who does a lot of chrysanthemums.
yes, he does. He is the chrysanthemum king.
Yeah.
He
True.
This
I
dude can
love
draw
the.
chrysanthemums. He could be half
Yeah.
asleep with both of his eyes closed, and he could draw one, and it would be flawless.
That is awesome. That is awesome, man. Like I have seen most of the artists who are working there with Guru Tattoo,
Mhm.
Aaron, and all the other guys. They're doing some really beautiful work.
Oh, absolutely, dude. It's incredible what those guys are doing right now. And
Definitely.
it's cool because the longer you follow an artist, the longer
Hmm.
you see them evolve, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see them go through all of these changes in
Hmm.
what they're doing and how they're doing it and what they're using. Like when I first met Phibbs a few years ago, he was all about trying to get into, more of like a neo-traditional kind of color Japanese feel,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And he really wanted to start doing more color tattoos. And I was like, well, dude, I've got a whole open side piece. Like, let's
Mm.
do it. Let's figure something out. Gave him a little bit of subject matter, and we did this. Well, he did this incredible color neo traditional Hanya mask and snake with some chrysanthemum petals on my side. Literally covers half of my upper torso. It's pretty awesome.
Wow.
But looking from what he was doing there to what he's doing now,
Yeah.
with all of these very large, dark black areas, um, I noticed he's starting to incorporate more straight linear aspects into a lot of what he's doing, almost borderline abstractions,
Hmm.
and just really pushing the bounds of what he's doing. It's incredible to see that kind of evolution in his work.
Yeah.
So I always find it fascinating just to watch different people and how they evolve over time.
When was this piece that you got it done? When was it? Which year was it?
Um, so we started it probably, I want to say I think it was 2017.
2017. Yeah.
I think. I
Hmm.
think. I can tell you for sure in just a minute. So let's see. That was in. So I got tattooed by him the first time in 2016.
2016. Yeah.
Yep. And we started my side that October 1st because I had just gone to the London Tattoo Convention for the first time, and it was amazing. We met up at the London Convention, walked around, talked. He took me around and introduced me to guys that I'm so intimidated by I don't even want to say their names.
Why?
Um, and these are guys that I've looked up to for since I started getting into the concept of doing tattoos.
Who are these
And
guys? Would love to know the
Phil
names, man.
Canales,
Uh huh.
yep, who he's a great guy, but he is so good at what he does It's
Yeah, the
like I
dragons.
don't
Yeah.
even want to say his name. Just you know, I'm not. I don't really feel like I'm worthy to. You
Hmm.
know, different guys like that took me around and introduced me to Delmiro.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just some incredible Victor Chill. Just some
Yeah.
incredible people that whose work I just stare at and I'm like, how is that
Yeah.
possible?
Yeah.
How did that
London Tattoo
happen?
Convention is such, man. Like
Dude,
you
it's
have
it's a
artists.
religious experience.
It is. It is. It's like the mecca of tattooing. Where
It
everybody
really,
goes.
you hit the nail on the head. It is.
Yeah.
It's like the World Cup and the Mecca of tattooing all rolled into one. And
Yeah.
it's a shame that it's not really going on anymore. But
Yeah, man.
it's
Like
when
it's
it was
terrible.
going on, man, that was the place. And if you
Yeah.
made it into
Yeah. It
that,
is.
you knew you were good.
Yeah. Yeah. And even I think just visiting such an incredible convention can teach you so much, can inspire you so much to do better work.
And that's why I always try to tell people, like, listen, if you're hitting that slump, if you need inspiration, if you need to figure out that drive to really push yourself to get to that next level, start
Yeah.
traveling. Don't travel and go to work at these shows. Go and
Hmm.
just attend them and just
Yeah.
walk around and watch these guys work. Watch the top
Yeah.
3% of tattooers in the world work
I
and just
literally have
ask them.
goosebumps when you're saying this, man.
Dude, it really is a life altering experience.
I
Because when you
can
go through and
completely
you're
agree.
watching Nico
Yeah.
Hurtado tattoo, and then you walk
Yeah.
down the aisle a little bit further and boom, there's Mike Rubendahl, and you're
Yeah.
watching him tattoo. And then you go around the corner and there's Shige, and you're watching
Yeah.
them tattoo. And then you walk down the aisle and there's Ching, Orion Ching, and you're watching
Yeah.
him knock out a full color half sleeve onto a chest plate, and he's finished in 4 hours. Like,
Wow.
and you're sitting back and you're it's the most incredibly inspiring thing you can ever imagine. It really is. And I
I
didn't tattoo
completely
at
agree.
London. I won't ever try to tell people that I did, but I did attend it not just once but twice. Went back two
Yeah.
times, and it was an eye-opening experience. Just
I'm
watching these
sure,
guys,
man. It
watching the
must have
amount of
been crazy.
focus that they have, right?
Yeah.
Watching Julian Siebert, work on someone's back over the course of 3 days and completely blast this guy's back in full color from start to finish.
Yeah.
Religious experience.
It is. I've seen such guys working, and that has completely changed the course of my life and the way I work, the way I think. I've seen these people working, and it just made me a different artist altogether, different person,
It
to be honest.
it does. And you know what? That's what I think everyone, in all honesty, needs to experience at some point in time in their life if they really do want to succeed and they really do want to push themselves to be the best that they can ever possibly be. You have to travel. You have to experience things like that. And if you don't, you're never going to reach that full potential. And
Because
I'm not saying it has to be London or Paris or San
no, no,
Diego
it's just traveling.
Invitational, but
It, yeah,
you have to open your mind and you have to start looking at things from the perspective of, oh, that's new. I never thought of it that way. Let me see how this can influence my life.
yeah,
Right. I mean, granted, yes, that's my own 2 cents. That's my own perspective on it.
yeah,
Everyone's got their own perspectives as well. But,
yeah.
it's incredible just to see how much being around those people can have an impact on anyone.
100%, man. 100%. I agree.
And hearing the
Traveling is
stories that they
something.
tell is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and traveling is something that I'm missing the most during these times because I was traveling pretty regular from last 4 or 5 years. Every year, I was going and working with artists from around the world, different countries, and yeah, it has changed me. I got tattooed. I worked with some amazing people, and it was completely an eye opener.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like,
Yeah,
oh, that's what you're doing there. Oh, okay. Yeah, let me give that a go. Let me give that a shot, or let me try to incorporate, this technique or
yeah,
that technique, or setting things up this way as opposed to the way that I was setting it up. It
yeah,
really does just, it opens your mind to a different
yeah.
perspective in life and really allows you to just achieve that full potential.
True.
Can be a good point of reference too. When you're looking at these, artists that you look up to and how they work, and you see that some of the things that you're doing, they're applying. So it kind of helps to, reinforce, your own perspective on how to do things. Like going to one of these like Paradise gatherings, was such a big deal, to like be close to so many of these artists that I look up to, seeing them work, what kind of things are they doing different, all of that. Like it's definitely a priceless thing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I can't wait for October.
Oof.
I mean, just
Yeah,
just
but
being able to,
that's mhm.
I was going to say, just being able to be in the presence of these guys and just sitting down and like watching them work that's something I can't wait for. Um, so for those of you that might not know, in October, there's a very small little like unofficial BYOB gathering taking place up in Massachusetts, I think it is. I'll be there. Bruno, are you going to be
I think it's
there?
Colorado, Jiminy Peak, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I know it's Jiminy Peak.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I can't remember if it's Massachusetts or Colorado, but I have a feeling it's Colorado. But
I
don't
think
trust
it's
on my feelings
Colorado.
though.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it's in
I think it's in
Massachusetts.
Oh, then,
Massachusetts.
oh, okay, there you go. See, yeah,
Thank you, Kira.
I trust your memory better, actually.
Yeah.
Oh man, Rashab, that's sick, dude. That's sick, man.
Why don't you pin them and see what we got going on? It looks great, Bruno.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, Bruno, your work's always amazing. So that's kind of like, if it wasn't, I would be worried.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That looks awesome, Rashad.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna pin you, man. Why don't you, if you can, try to turn your phone to the side so we can get a wide angle view.
I can share with some of the works that I've been doing.
Oh, fun.
Oh, cool,
Yeah,
man.
that's cool.
Love those little color accents that you got going on in there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, it really kind of ties everything together, because if you had just left the lightning with yellow and not really put that anywhere else, it would have stood out a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But by
Just to
tying that
balance it
in and
out.
having that reflective light, it really brings it together.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Very cool.
Hell yeah, man. Very nice.
Doing some exercise here.
Yeah, studying water, man. Be like water.
I'm trying to understand more about, the Japanese style of work. Like I'm more inclined towards Japanese style.
Right?
It's a good
Yeah.
direction. Solid direction.
Yeah. So
Oh, wow. Super traditional.
I like the traditional work. I really like it actually, but I keep experimenting with different things because I'm still trying to understand and learn and do things on my own, trying to get some, some of my own essence to it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's experimentation is key. That's
Yeah.
key to developing your own style and key to developing your own evolution as an artist.
Yeah.
By starting with something established and then experimenting from there, you really do start to develop your own style. You start to develop, your own little niche and your own little unique way of doing things.
Yeah.
It's one thing to go through and be taught several tips and tricks, but to go through and start branching out on your own is always a totally different mindset. And it always lends itself to more growth and, a better understanding of the subject matter as a whole.
Yeah.
Kind of absorbing it. Ingest it.
Yep.
Eat it. How long have you been working on that sketchbook?
Sorry.
How long have you been working on that sketchbook?
This sketchbook is from last maybe 10 days, 10, 15 days.
Wow. Killer.
Yeah. So
Great,
I'm
man.
usually doing it pretty regular nowadays. Like I've got one more that I was working on. I was experimenting a lot on that as well. Like a lot of different, angles on each subject, trying to get different things together.
Okay.
Yeah. So like earlier I was tattooing, so I was doing a lot of realism before,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been about say 3 years, I would say, last 3.5, 4 years that I started doing, getting more involved in Japanese style of work. And yeah, so that's where my focus is now. Earlier I had completely lost touch of drawing because of doing more realism.
Right.
But now that I've started doing more Japanese things, so I'm more inclined towards experimenting and drawing more to give it my own touch.
Yeah.
And there's so many inspiration, like you get to learn from the people you work with. When I travel, I get to learn from the people that I work with there. When I go to conventions, there's so much to learn, man. And every time I come back, every time I meet these artists, I realize that there is so much more to do. It's not just about you being doing a little good in your own area, but it's about where you stand when internationally, how your work is being perceived, where you can take it.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
Totally agree. When you start to have a narrow mindset with, oh, well, I might be the best in this little area, it's like, well, that's great, but there's guys around the world that are kicking your butt. What are you doing to better yourself? When you really start
Yeah.
to think on a more global aspect, it
Hmm.
really changes the way that you look at things, and it really well, for me at least, it pushes you to really become that much of a better artist.
Yeah.
Gotta stay fit, man.
Yep, precisely.
It
That's
never ends. That's why you gotta love it. You gotta have that passion because it never ends. Then, like he said, there's so much information out there, and all you can do is just use your time wisely and get to work and enjoy it because there's so much more.
Yep. I do like listening to you talk about how you wanted to kind of start branching out and experimenting with your own style, trying to discover who it is that you are, like as an artist and everything like that. And there's a lot of important things in that statement. I mean, like growth comes from that area for sure. Like if you're just replicating things, are you just copying it, or are you actually creating some art for yourself? Are you expressing an opinion, or expressing a voice that you might have? So there's a lot of questions that kind of come with that idea of not drawing every day, or trying to create something, out of your own mind and put it on paper. So I like that. Yeah.
Lately, I've realized that the more you draw, the less it is,
Yes.
and this is the only key to create your own unique identity. There is no other way. There's not copying, not getting, not doing, taking only using the flash and doing it. but I really think the only key to succeed in tattooing, like, what I mean by succeed is to create your own identity with your work, is by drawing. That's the only way you can create your own thing.
Yep.
I mean, nowadays, a lot of people are working with iPads and Wacoms to, alter the design and stuff. But I think drawing is something that brings the original touch of your own soul, to the work.
I agree with you. I think it's one of the things that kept me from getting with an iPad for a long time. And then once I started realizing the potential that you have with it in order to do paintings, basically, like you can do textural paintings on it. You know what I mean? And it's so much more convenient than carrying a bunch of stuff. Granted, like last night, Jason and I were trying to rock through this beginning stages of an acrylic painting, and then just like having your hands on the brush and you know what I mean, putting it down on the canvas and everything like that. There's a lot of substance to that, like texturally,
Yeah.
where the iPad doesn't have. You know what I mean? But it's still a big convenience that you can actually, still create your own art, like not manipulate photos, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like use it as a reference tool more than it is like actually copying it. So
Yeah.
I definitely see where you're coming from. Like I still keep a sketchbook as well, and I try to sketch in that as much as possible. And it's pretty fun to go back in in your collection and start flipping through some of these old books and just seeing where you were at some point in time as far as your state of mind goes. And it's pretty cool to have that like library for yourself, to be able to look back
Yeah.
and reflect on it. But that's one of the benefits that I do enjoy about like sitting down with paper and a pencil and being outside or being comfortable in your living room or wherever, in a restaurant, coffee shop, whatever. It's great, man.
Yeah.
You can kind of get lost in your own world even, you know?
Yeah. And flipping through those pages give you a beautiful relation of what you're creating. You're actually holding it tight in your hand, like it gives you that feel that you're holding on something that you created.
Right. Like it's tangible. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was using an iPad a while ago, and I mean, it's been some time that I completely stopped using it once I came back to sketchbook. I
Yeah.
just started enjoying the whole process so much more, because
Right.
every layer that I create now, like for example, whatever I'm drawing,
Mm-hmm.
I can still see what I do first and how it's going, where it's going. And it's somehow similar to tattooing, like when you do colors, for example, if I'm using Copic markers to put in some color somewhere, it's I can't change it later. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't
Right.
give you a change, that feeling to undo. So so it's more connected to art in that form. I mean,
Yeah.
iPad and Wacom are great tools to use for your work, to create stencils, to, maybe if you're drawing something very balanced, so you draw half of it and the other half looks absolutely same there, right? So it saves you a lot of time. But if it's sketching where you have to, where you're trying to look for yourself within it, then I
Right.
think sketchbook is the key.
Yeah.
I would definitely 100% agree.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about the soul of creating art through analog medium that you don't get through digital medium, right? And I'm not saying that there's not artists out there that don't create from scratch, that are extremely talented with what they do.
Excuse
But I'm
me.
saying, to me, in my opinion, and this is just once again my 2 cents on things, it's going to have a very different type of soul to it. And if you
Yeah.
really are out there searching for your own soul, your own style, your own your own flair to whatever it is that you do, and you don't know how to draw or paint in an analog medium, it's not going to have the same kind of feeling to it. It's not going to have the same character. It's not going to have the same limitations or the same challenges. And it's those challenges that help us build character.
So true, man.
So, and I'm all about, just learning, right? And it's a totally different type of learning curve. And, how can I achieve this effect using this medium, right? What do I need to do to achieve this specific desired look? Or, and then how can I incorporate that into my own artwork? You know, it's just, it's always constantly learning. It's a different medium of learning, and it's a different way of learning. And to me, it's, definitely beneficial for every artist out there. And with the advent of iPads, I definitely can see, a lot of those analog skills kind of falling by the wayside.
Because I have seen artists sometimes creating designs, and people who have completely left sketching and completely moved to digital way of working. I've seen them doing tricks, using the tricks that are already in place in those applications. For example, smoothing the shades and making a rough line look more smooth. So you gradually forget the touch of it, the feel of how to create a smooth line or how to create a smooth shade with doing strokes and not doing it, through the digital way.
I can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree
It's like
completely.
at times I have apprentices, and those apprentices I usually, so when they come in for the first time, so I would ask them to bring their work and drawings with them. And most of the times, if somebody has learned drawing and sketching, they usually do it with different tools like smudging tools and different eraser tools to create those pictures on the sketch. But the idea is to, when you're learning tattooing, the idea is to sketch with the pencil and create the shades with the pencil and not with the tools, because you can't do that on the skin. You can't just put ink on the skin and smudge it to give it a smooth effect, right? To bring that smooth effect, you've got to use your needle. So in our case, when we are sketching, it's the pencil. So it
Yeah,
teaches you so much like that.
it's kind of like yesterday watching Jason pull some clean lines on that tattoo. It was incredible. It was like butter.
Dude, it was, man. But I mean, that's, when you work on a lot of large pieces, like you learn little tricks here and there to just, to be able to turn around and do that and say, oh, this is a really long, straight line that needs to be flawless. Well, I need to find a way to do it. So you
Yeah,
find a way to do it.
angle the body,
And
move
that
around it.
all, so one thing that really helped me with that, believe it or not, going back to the whole concept of working in an analog medium, is
Right.
like I work on paper a lot. I work on paper with like liquid acrylics and liquid watercolor and stuff like that. But all of my black is done using a permanent black waterproof ink. And one of the things that really helped me get accustomed to doing very long, very straight, very clean lines was actually working with a very long, small liner brush, and then taking that and being able to pull a long, straight, clean line all the way across a large piece of watercolor paper, right? Because if that liner brush, is off by a little bit, or if it's got too much pigment, or, if you don't maintain the same hand pressure all the way through, that line is going to be inconsistent. So it forces you to teach hand pressure, to teach yourself hand pressure, and to regulate those secondary muscles, which allow you to control the exact amount of hand pressure and the exact amount of distance and force that you need to have on that brush.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a pinstriping technique, almost even.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
that stuff's like magic, dude. I don't know if you guys ever watched Pinstriper, but it's incredible. It's like I give up every time I see them do any pinstriping where it's symmetrical, especially. And then they're pulling those long, clean lines like that on a layer, beveled surface the way we would be working on around an arm or a leg or an ankle or, you know, something really contoured. And it's significantly contoured, like that lower back area yesterday, you know, and that it's incredible seeing it done. And it's like you said, dude, it takes some built and experienced, you know, measure and confidence that comes along with it, or that develops because of it, actually. So
Yeah, it's all in muscle memory and practice, right? And it's something that I personally have found that it's key in this day and age, especially with tattooing, right? Tattooing is an analog medium. It is. There's no getting around it. You're using your hands to create art.
Yeah.
Yes, you can go through and create the designs digitally, but that tattoo itself is always going to be created by a human hand until we get, you know, to the technology stage where Skynet's just doing it for us. And Skynet is everywhere. Don't kid yourselves. Skynet is listening right now. Say hello, big brother. How's it going? So until Skynet can develop a way to tattoo, you know, from a distance, you know, it's going to be done by a human hand. And because of that, that requires that muscle memory. That requires that training of your muscles to know that, okay, this is how I pull a clean line. This is how I do this. This is how I, you know, get that color in there and just really pack it in there in a smooth, saturated fashion. It's all analog, and that requires muscle memory and practice. And you can't go through and get the same kind of an effect by doing like a digital tattoo start to finish, because it's not going to teach you proper hand pressure. It's not going to teach you secondary muscle control. It's not going to teach you how to maintain focus from all the other crap that's going on around you. You know, when I was an apprentice, I remember someone that was teaching me how to maintain focus on the tattoo that I was doing at that time literally used to throw things at me as I was tattooing myself. Like it started off small, right? Like little pencil erasers on the backs of pencils and stuff, little pieces of like balled up paper. And then it started to get gradually bigger, like staple removers and boxes of staples, boxes of paper clips, even a stapler, one of those big heavy steel staplers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It taught me how to focus on doing that tattoo really quickly.
crazy, man.
You know? But, you know, it all comes down to muscle memory, because now it doesn't take a whole lot for me to just say, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is practice. I've practiced this concept before. I know how to do this. Now it's time for me to do it.
It's pretty wild.
No, but I mean, granted, not every person when they're apprenticing goes through that. And I get that. That's awesome, because that was not a very fun time. It taught
But
me
I
a
think
lot.
the traditional apprenticeship is awesome, man. It can teach you so much.
Well, it's not, I totally agree with you, by the way, but I think that it's not that, you know, people aren't getting it now. It's that a lot of things have changed as far as a traditional apprenticeship goes, right? No longer do you really have the need to make your own needles anymore, right? So that
Yeah.
art and that craft has kind of gone by the wayside, you know,
Yeah.
because no one really needs to know it anymore, because you buy them for pennies a piece. No one really needs to know how to mix their own pigments anymore, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, that's kind of gone by the wayside. You know, I know some people now that don't even know how to sterilize a steel tube.
Yeah,
What?
definitely. There are so
You
many
know?
people who've not even seen it, man.
And I remember scrubbing 50 or 60 of them every other day.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That
You
was
know,
a
when I was an
common
apprentice,
thing.
going through, taking them all apart, scrubbing out the tips from the tip brush and the back stems, and now the grips, and then sitting them down and saying, okay, now they need to go through Alkanox. Now they need to go through this. Now they need to go through this. Now they get bagged. Now they go in the autoclave and you run the autoclave. Oh, but wait, I forgot to put water in the autoclave.
Oh shit.
You know, it's like people don't know that struggle anymore because it's
Yeah.
outdated, because they don't
Insane.
need to know it anymore, because nowadays it's like, well, what do you mean you don't just throw them out after you use them?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, no, when you spend $20 for an all-in-one one-piece steel tube, you're not throwing that out after one use.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. That was pretty much like a, every morning kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing hanging out? Shouldn't you be in the back cleaning those tubes? Oh yeah, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I used to go in on the day that the studio was closed and scrub tubes. That was
Awesome.
my thing. That was my ritual. I used to go and do that and get ready for the week. And I'd scrub all my tubes from that week, and I'd just take the whole day to do it.
That would be part of my morning ritual for sure, like making needles and stuff like that. That was always one thing that you did when you first came in before everybody else. Just sat down, put some music on, and just made like, what needles you made for your appointments that day. You know what I mean? It's
Wow.
there's kind of something that I miss about that sometimes, to be honest with you. Inhaling all those fumes and stuff.
Yeah, definitely took a few years off of my life, but it was a good time, because it allowed you to just like kick back, take care of what you needed to take care of, and get everything done.
Well, it's like what we were talking about with the analog drawing, and like that connection with it, that tangible connection. Like, I know that I made these needles today, and I know that they're quality, and I know that each one is exactly what I want for each tattoo,
And you didn't solder them on backwards?
No. Nope. It's like Guy's story, right?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it's not the first time I've heard a story like that, unfortunately.
Ugh. No, thank you.
But I mean, that's the variable that comes with, making your own needles, right?
Right.
It's the human element, because
The
there's
human
gonna
element.
be some type of human error percentage involved.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put all the safeguards you want in place, but it's the human element. Humans are not perfect by nature. We know this.
Yeah.
Show me a person out there that's never made a single mistake in their life.
Right.
It's we can have all these safeguards in place, but we may still make a mistake. Maybe we miss a pin and a pin is hooked, right? So to have a backup on hand that is good is amazing. But are they always going to be 100% perfect? Probably not.
Yeah. There's some truth to that. That's what the eye loops are for.
Right? Double checking, triple checking, making
Mhm.
sure everything is good. And then you're like, okay, now I'm good for the day. Oh, but wait, I forgot to scrub my liner tubes. Let me go and scrub those.
Those were actually the most difficult ones.
Yeah, dude. Those were always the biggest pain.
Yeah. One of the guys who taught me
or
who always
maintaining
used
your
to,
mag tubes and filing those down so they didn't get any grooves in them.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember
And
the
it's
first
like,
time I
oh
read
man,
this.
this one must have gotten some really good use. Yeah, look at the grooves in this.
Mm-hmm. That's the main party animal.
It always makes for the most interesting time, to say the least. Yeah, but all that machine maintenance, all that needle maintenance and all that stuff, man. That was a different time and it was a different era. And that stuff doesn't really get taught anymore in this day and age.
No.
And I kind of think it's a shame in an aspect of it, because that's part of the craft of tattooing that's people don't even think about anymore.
It was one of the highlights for me being at your shop yesterday, Jason, was hearing your coworker walking through the hallway and then hearing that buzzing. And I was like, is that a coil machine? And sure enough, man, he was back there like rocking a tattoo with a with the liner, like coil liner, dude. That was incredible.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, he's still using cartridges, but
Yeah.
he's using a coil as his liner machine because that's his go-to trusty. It's never let me down so far, so why would I change it?
Right.
Machine.
There's a beautiful counterbalance to that weight of a coil too.
Oh yeah, dude. And
It
I do
just-
miss it. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, I do.
Yeah. You hold it just right, man, and it just like lays in your hand. No big deal. It's the good stuff.
Yeah, it's something about the sound and that feeling that you can't ever get rid of it, man. You can't ever really turn around and say, oh yeah, no, I really didn't like using that, right? Because that's like part of our history. It's part of our culture. The coil tattoo machine has been around for, a really, really long time. I think they just hit what, 100 and some odd years for the anniversary of Charlie Wagner's electric tattooing machine.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was patented in like 1918. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. Let's see. When was it? It was Charlie trained under Samuel O'Reilly. Samuel O'Reilly was the so I stand corrected. It wasn't Charlie Wagner. Wagner's name is vertical coils in a tube assembly. No, it was Charlie Wagner. For the first upright vertical tattoo coil machine. Yeah. So O'Reilly started it. And O'Reilly may have had the first patent, but I'm pretty sure Charlie Wagner was the first one with the modern tattoo machine, right? The modern coil tattoo machine. Yeah, let's see. I used to know this stuff by heart. I was forced to memorize it during my apprenticeship. But I've since forgotten quite a bit of it. Yeah, I know it was pre-1925 when the first modern upright dual coil tattoo machine was invented. So just some food for thought, But I mean, if that's relatively unchanged in 100 years, then what's really why do we feel the need to branch out so much? And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that we found long-term flaws with it, as far as carpal tunnel,
Right.
Muscle strain, all kinds of things like that. Which, if we want to continue tattooing into our twilight years, so to speak, maybe we do want to switch out to something a bit lighter with a little bit less vibration. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I made the switch. Not that, I'm, anyone to really go through and toot my horn, but I like the versatility of working with cartridges, and I like the fact that I didn't have to worry about carpal tunnel anymore.
Yeah, the cartridge thing is what really got me. and the you know the fatigue on my wrists and stuff like that started to catch up for sure. And I started recognizing the signs of all that stuff, and I was like, oh, it's time to start looking into this, see what this whole rotary machine thing is all about.
Right.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I mean, like I said, I love the coils. Yeah, I love them. I miss them. But they're the ones that I use now. The machine I use now is it's lighter, and I mean, I hate to say, but it's just more efficient. You know what I mean? It works the same way I want it to every time I pick it up. But there is a magic to that, like kind of tweaking your machine every time you go to use it.
Well, and that's what got me, right? I really started to look at versatility, or not versatility. I really started to look at, what's the word I'm looking for? Controlling my variables. And I noticed how every time I would go to do a tattoo with a coil, there was always something a little bit different, whether it was the amount of tension on the needle bar, or the rubber band tension, or the amount of bend, or maybe it was the tube I was using. Maybe it was, any number of different, maybe my front spring was starting to wear. Maybe there was a microscopic crack in my rear spring that I didn't know about. There were all of these variables that I was tired of dealing with them because I couldn't control them. And when you can't control those variables, you can't get a consistent result. And when you can't get a consistent result, because you can't control your variables, you turn around and you say, okay, well, there's a reason why my work isn't consistent one way or the other. So by controlling those individual variables, it allowed me to really turn around and focus in on what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What can I do to improve? And what do I really need to focus on the most? Granted, not everyone's going to go through that. Not everyone's going to look at it in the same way. But when you really do start to sit back and do a lot of self-reflection and say, hey, this is me, this is what I'm doing, like, this is what I need to work on the most, this is what I need to improve the most, how am I going to improve it? What do I need to change in order to improve upon this? You go through and start to evaluate things, but the old adage will always stand that if nothing changes, nothing changes. Right? So if you don't make any kind of a change, then you're going to keep producing the same result. So you have to make those changes if you ever want to elevate yourself and if you ever want to really progress to that next level. So I started going through and making some changes and doing things differently.
That completely makes sense, man. Completely.
Granted, maybe I didn't make the right changes. Who knows? Maybe I, should have done something different.
What you said about the stability of the machine, the stability and the consistency that you get with the rotary, with these modern machines, is definitely very true.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I wanted. I wanted something that was going to run consistently the same way every time without me having to worry about any of those other variables or any of those other factors. By having something that was going to have a consistent hit, that was going to run consistently in the same way with the same stroke length every single time, that I didn't have to worry about, it was a game changer.
And also it makes the traveling part really easy.
Mm-hmm.
It makes your setup really small. You don't have to put so many things over there to have different variation in the needle.
Totally agree.
That's for certain. That's for certain, man. I learned that this weekend for sure. Normally you
and Ricardo, that was only part of the travel hacks that I talked to you about when it comes down to traveling and tattooing.
Yeah.
you just hit the tip of the iceberg before we both got distracted and started talking about something else.
Yeah, that happened a lot this weekend. But yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, man. Like I don't doubt that one, but I can't wait to dive into it though.
Yeah, condense your setup.
You know, and I like what you're saying too, Jason. Like, without there being any change, how are you supposed to know that you haven't done the right or wrong thing? And I think that's the best part about it is that, I mean, there is definitely some very wrong things you can do, right? If you try to change it, but it depends on your reasoning, really. You know, but you know, if you never even attempt it, then what's the point, right?
Right.
So I mean, you have to have that, what is it, like the gumption or like the nerve or like just the confidence, the bravery to like make that change, you know. And it can prove beneficial, and if it doesn't, then you just go back to, you know, something along the lines of what you were doing before. So it doesn't have to be a big deal.
Yeah, I think it also comes from giving it an honest chance, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to try a new machine to see if you like it, you have to give it, you can't just use it once.
No. Yeah.
You can't just use it for one thing. You have to go through and
Yeah.
give it an honest chance. Only use that new machine for, 300 tattoos. Do a
Yeah.
tattoo a day for a year with it.
Yeah.
Learn how you need to manipulate it in order to use it. And once you realize that all you need to do is change yourself and you can use any machine,
Yep.
it's an incredible feeling.
I think you just unlocked one of the universe's secrets right there, man, with the tattoo analogy.
Yeah. It's all in how can you change yourself and adapt yourself to the situation. Once
Yep.
again, be like water,
Be like water.
right?
Yes, sir. That was our theme this weekend, bro.
It was, dude. It really was. Be like water. When you put
Like
water
water.
into a cup, water becomes the cup.
There you go.
Put water into a pot, it becomes the pot.
Be like water, my friend. It's so radical. We're gonna have to watch that movie next time we hang out.
Yeah, dude.
So what time is it in India right now?
Right now it's almost 12 o'clock night. 12 night.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
No, that's
Today
awesome.
actually I just finished my isolation. I had
Oh.
COVID.
Oh,
So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I just finished the course of my, quarantine period.
okay.
Yeah.
How did you feel? What was the worst of it?
Much better, man. Much better. And I was in a room from last, I don't know, 18 days.
Oh,
And
wow.
I didn't get out of that room. And yeah, it was, I think the times that we are living in with the, internet and, we have a hobby, we like to draw and all. So that saves us a lot of times,
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can go fucking really, really, really difficult. Yeah. Sorry
Yeah.
for my language, but yeah.
Yes. I think that's one of the graces of being an artist is that you can never really be alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're never really
I was
alone.
You're
I
never
was
really
talking to
bored
one of
either.
my clients the other day, and when the lockdown happened, he spent most of his initial time with his wife and daughter, watching TV, doing activities at home,
Mhm.
cooking, cleaning, whatever. But then after a while, he was like, I don't know what to do. I've watched everything on Netflix. I've watched everything that's possible on YouTube. He doesn't has anything to left to do with. But when you're an artist, the best part is, you're always busy. It doesn't matter if you're alone or if you're with somebody.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Perfect. Well, welcome back, man.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
Yep. Pretty
It's quite
intense.
crazy nowadays in India, though.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've been
Yeah.
hearing, man.
Yeah, it's really the condition is really bad outside.
Oh man, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but hopefully with time things will get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually India is actually on one of my travel destination lists for the next couple of years. Hopefully things get sorted out and situation improves over there a little bit over the next few years. But I'd love to make it over there to India, to Kuala Lumpur, over in Malaysia, and just start like traveling around over in that general area of the world. Just doing some tattoos here and there, and just experiencing life and the culture, and just learning everything I can from everyone I meet.
Whenever you plan a trip, I can, share with you my details. So you're
That would be
most
amazing,
welcome.
dude.
We have a studio here, so you can drop in, you can work with us. We can travel together, like we can show you around.
That would be
So we
awesome.
can, yeah, we can definitely take care of you, man.
That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and I think India is, I mean, definitely not in these times, but otherwise, India is definitely a country to visit. There's so much to learn from. There is so much to see, so much to understand about life in India.
Nice.
Everyone I know that's been there has said the exact same thing. So I'm really excited to actually make it out there, man. I can't be I couldn't possibly express that in any other terms, man. It's something that I can't wait to do.
Yeah,
It really is. I've always been about observing and soaking up all of the different cultures I possibly can, learning
yeah,
everything I can from them, and just applying that to my own life.
yeah,
And, I mean, there's so much to learn from so many people in different parts of the world.
yeah. And it's so diverse, man. There is so much, happening all the time. Like all your senses start, working all together. It's a different smell, taste, colors, everything.
So cool.
That's what I crave, man. That is exactly to a T what I crave. I crave that like diversity and that
Yeah. It,
difference, that
yeah,
different.
it really is, man. It really is very diverse in all the ways possible.
Yeah, like I've been to Europe a few times, and like that's great and I love going to Europe, but to me it's not that different, you know?
Yeah.
It's not it's not the difference that I was looking for,
What
and
part
I
of
think
Europe did you get to visit?
Italy a few times, France, the UK, Ireland. I
Yeah.
haven't made it to Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, or Switzerland yet, or Germany, which is also on my list. But
Uh, Germany and
yeah,
Switzerland are awesome.
that's what I keep hearing, man.
You
Everyone's
have
like,
to
"Oh, you
visit.
were in Europe? Oh, did you go to Switzerland?" No. Well, did you go to Germany? Well, no, I didn't make it there either. Oh, dude, you're missing out.
Yeah, that's where I go every year to work. So for 3 months, I'm in Europe where I'm working in Switzerland, in France, and Germany.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's pretty rad, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
You find places to stay? Like you get apartments and stuff? How do you manage it usually?
Usually, like when I'm traveling there, so it's for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time I am in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and rest of the time, like for short trips, I go to Switzerland and France to work, maybe
Mm-hmm.
like for a week or 10 days maximum. But most of the times I'm in Germany working in the studio there, and I usually get like appointments booked like before I go there, before I reach there. I usually have my appointments lined up,
Okay.
so that's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And since I do it regularly, So, there are certain people who usually come back and get tattoos.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have an Instagram page or anything like that?
I have an Instagram page by the name Immortal Rishabh.
Hopping on. I'm going to send you a follow in just a second.
Yeah.
Immortal. What was the last part? Rishab?
Immortal Rishabh, yeah.
Gotcha, man.
So I'm gonna see you there.
Yeah, I'll send you. I'm doing this real
Oh,
quick.
dude, that back piece is sick. And the claw on the front. That's sick, man.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
That's some awesome stuff.
Motor shop.
Yeah, I figure we'll probably I mean, if it's cool with you guys, we'll probably hang out for like another maybe 20 minutes or so. I do have a few other things I got to get taken care of today that I wasn't able to when Ricardo was here because he kept me distracted. Yes, I'm totally blaming you, Ricardo.
Very good. Very good.
Super
So-
cool, man. It was really nice hanging out here with you guys working.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Yeah.
Love meeting new people from different walks of life and all the way around the world. And that's
Yeah.
part of what this reinventing the tattoo community is all about.
Yeah.
We're all about learning and just trying to bring everyone together so that everyone can learn and excel and grow as an artist.
Yeah.
And I've learned more from some of the people I've met on Reinventing than I ever did in any of my apprenticeships. And
Wow.
it's just an amazing thing. Except for Ricardo. Ricardo didn't teach me anything.
How to be distracted.
Yeah,
Mostly.
he just kept me distracted the whole time. I don't really know if I learned anything from him, but he's definitely very good at distracting people.
That's what I do, man.
I mean, he's okay eye candy, but like beyond that, like I don't really know if he's really that good at anything.
That's awesome. I like it.
Yeah, I bet you like it.
I
I
do.
like it now that I'm not distracted the whole time.
Well, then you get your work done, then, son.
Yeah, we were supposed to, while Ricardo was here, we had a laundry list of things that we were supposed to get done. Most of it didn't get done.
No.
I mean, we got the back piece started, and that was cool, and that got done. But like, booking a trip to Belgium for the Belgium Tattoo Convention, that didn't get done. Yeah, and I reminded you of that 6 times, dude.
Yeah,
6
and then
times.
Were you there in that convention last year, in 2019?
I was not. I was not. In fact, I
You were
didn't make
not?
it out to Europe at all in 2019. Actually, I did. I
Okay.
made it to Italy in 2019, but
Right. I got a chance to visit Belgium Tattoo Convention, Brussels Tattoo Convention in 2019. I really loved it.
did you
It was
really?
pretty. Yeah. I mean, so many people there, man. It's unbelievable. Like, so many people. It was more like London Tattoo Convention. It was like filled with so many artists and so many people getting tattooed. So I hardly saw any artist sitting idle. Everybody was busy. Very busy convention. Beautiful venue. It was amazing.
That's awesome. Are you going this year?
I was supposed to go next year as well, but yeah, this happened.
Yeah. Yeah, well, from what I understand, it's still going on in November.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, from what I understand, Ricardo and I got a booth there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely going to be there, even if he doesn't want to go with
Wow.
me.
I'm going.
Oh,
We're gonna get those tickets today.
dude, that's
Uh-huh.
awesome. It's happening in November, yeah?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can send you the exact dates and times too, if you want me
Yeah,
to.
please do, man. I would definitely love to visit that time.
Yeah,
That's
although
usually the time
Ricardo was
that
the one that
I
booked
travel.
it, so he knows the right contacts. But um, I know that there's someone that you can contact, and if you wanted to, if you ended up signing up for a booth to work
Yeah,
at it with us, maybe we
yeah.
could be in a booth right next to each other.
Wow, that'll be so cool, man.
Yeah, I think it would be an absolutely amazing experience.
Absolutely. I love this forum, dude.
Right? Yeah, it's
Mhm.
November 12th through the 14th.
November 12th to 14th, yeah. Super cool, super cool.
I'll get on the Instagram and send you some stuff.
Yeah, they don't really have too much on their website just yet. Um,
Sorry,
not
guys.
that I'm seeing at least, but yeah, that's what the website says, and I believe their Instagram says that as well. So, and Ricardo's been in touch with someone that's putting it together. So they're
Uh-huh.
getting it together. If you have questions about who to reach out to Ricardo. He's the one that actually got us the booth booked for it. So he knows all the contacts and all that stuff to get into that. But I think that would be an absolutely amazing time.
Yeah.
I know that so one thing that I'm really trying to start doing more often is at any of the conventions that I work this year, I plan on bringing at least one blank canvas with me
Yes.
and just kind of setting that up so that artists that, are part of our community or part of the forum and all that stuff, if they want to get in on some kind of a collaborative painting,
Yeah.
we can take some time, maybe even after hours one day, and just all sit down and, work on a nice size painting and,
That'll
or
be
even just
so
like a
cool.
folded up canvas and bring that with me and just pin that up to a wall and we can all just paint on that.
I love that
Yeah,
idea.
that'll be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just like like tattooing alongside someone else, like the same thing when you take on these art fusions, you kind of see other people's approaches, and it's a great learning experience, not to mention that it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and what comes out is like this creation that can only take place when the people that were involved are involved. It's kind of cool to see what comes out.
And if the traveling allows, like if the travel bans are lifted by that time, I'm totally in for this.
Very
That would
good.
be awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I already got vaccinated, so like I'm pretty much cleared to travel almost anywhere except for like Canada, Australia. I think Japan still has a pretty strict restriction in there,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty good for most of Europe. But I have a
Yeah.
feeling that by November, by the time the convention rolls around, I think a lot of it's going to be lifted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If everybody starts getting vaccinated, for sure. Great. Either way,
Yeah,
man.
I
Go
got
ahead,
to
Jason.
that point where I was sitting back and I was like, it's either get vaccinated or don't travel. And I couldn't travel at all last year, and that was not an option for me.
Yeah.
I was like, no, this is going down this year. This is happening. It has to happen. I need to get out of the States again.
What part of states are you in?
Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
So
in
right on the
Illinois.
East Coast, 2 hours south of New York City.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my little home away from home. Well,
Where are
actually,
you
it is my
originally
home.
from?
What's up?
Where are you originally from?
Uh, so I myself, I was born in Houston, Texas,
Hmm.
and then lived there for a year or two when I was a child, and then moved to Anchorage, Alaska. Lived there for a couple of years. Moved to San Ramon, California. Lived there for a few years, and then moved out to Pennsylvania. So
Yeah.
literally, like the southernmost state the northernmost state, the second to most western state, and then one of the easternmost states. Literally all the way around the country.
Wow.
All the corners.
Yeah, pretty much.
I live in Illinois right now, and I'm originally from Corpus Christi, Texas. And I started moving around a lot as a kid. I lived in New York City for a while, a couple years, and then I lived in Louisiana, Georgia. I lived in West Virginia, California for a hot second, Ohio,
Yeah.
and then Illinois, I think. Yeah, been here the longest, probably.
And I think moving around and living in different places, it gives you so much of experience of different kind of people. You're meeting, you're learning from them. Teaches you so much like that.
You can, for sure. Keep an open mind to it, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely helps give you an open mind and a different way of looking at life in the world that surrounds you, right?
Yeah.
Because
And it's
when
also
you're
like
stuck,
you're giving more opportunity to yourself.
right?
Yeah. You mean as in like learning about yourself?
Opportunity to grow in different areas and
Mhm.
meeting artists over there and working with them. And you have a certain kind of clientele and certain kind of people and artists you meet in different places. And when you move like that, when you travel like that, you're learning from everybody. It's becoming a part of your own experienced life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, gradually you become a different person. You are like,
Mhm.
a total of all your experiences, right? So all your experiences coming from different places, to the person you are today.
Yeah, I appreciate your perspective, man, because I think I definitely feel like that's the case. I think that it's a culmination of experiences up until the point that you're at right now. I agree
Yeah.
with that completely. It's awesome. And Bruno's down in Florida. It's all
Yep.
sunny and nice down there, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
70 degrees and sunny every day.
Yeah, I can't complain. I don't have much to complain about, that's for sure. We have it good here. I haven't had much of a chance to travel around as a tattoo artist, especially like outside of the country. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm sure that it must be such an amazing learning experience. Even doing guest spots in different, tattoo shops, different tattoo environments, and there's always room for growth, and as long as you're open for it, right?
Yep. As long as you have that mentality where you want to grow and you want to excel and you want to succeed, but those people that have lost themselves in the comfortableness of where they are and what they're doing and who they are and all that stuff, that's fine if that's, ultimately all that you want to achieve in life, but I want to achieve more. I want to be better. I want to grow. I want to excel. I want to, evolve as a human being,
Yes,
and
sir.
those people that don't have that mindset, they're never going to achieve that.
And that's actually what makes us all very special, because all of us are, we all look pretty much the same, with the same you know bodies, pretty much. And but our mind, our thoughts are what makes us all very unique. And
Right.
it's very beautiful. It's how the nature has built us all together, like it's like we all have, you know eyes, nose, lips, and feelings. But then how we feel and what we want to learn is what makes us different. And everybody is beautifully unique in their own way. Like
That's
somebody
kind
who's
of
somebody who's, maybe who's comfortable in that life, is maybe that is what they were looking for. But then it's never to, you're always if you're somebody who wants to learn, you keep just growing, man. It's beautiful.
Yep, definitely.
Very well said. Very well said.
I
Well,
think I'm
it's
getting
getting to
close
be
to
what? Go ahead.
I'm starting to get close to the finish line with this piece. And I was wondering if you guys maybe had any like critiques, anything, any pointers.
Let's see. Let's
Let me
ping
see if I
in.
can put it a little closer to
Got some good separation going there.
I know there's a little bit of glare, unfortunately. You can see my face on the screen.
Well, let me ask you this. Where do you want your true blacks to be?
So, like, what I figured out was that, considering that I want like most of the attention to be on the conch shell here, I wanted to make sure that it had, the lightest tones, right? Like these whites. But considering the light effect situation, it almost should have like a very dark tone behind it as well. So I guess what I ended up doing was, putting all my darkest tones and my lightest tones on the shell.
Right.
And it kind of left the general background like with like medium tones and just a little bit of that like light to explain why this is lit up that way, right? But I was wondering if I should do a little bit more like dark tones right here in between the rays.
I think a little bit more contrast there would definitely be beneficial.
Because I
The
feel
reason
like I would
why
be. Yeah, go
The reason
ahead.
why I asked about the true blacks is because, and I mean, granted, this is probably just from the camera itself, but it almost seems like you have a dark border kind of going around the shell that in that dark, in the blue area in the negative space.
Right.
And I think that is kind of conflicting with the overall contrast that you have in that shell. And it's actually making that shell, it's giving that less of an amount of contrast just because you have that dark, cool blue in the background. And my eye is picking that up as being on that same kind of a level, maybe not slightly as dark, but it is still competing for attention with that nice dark area on the inside of the conch shell.
That's a good point. Right.
Yeah.
Like there's too much darkness around the composition, the main part of the composition,
Right.
competing with the main element. Like the background is actually conflicting.
Right.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. Yeah, that's a good.
That's like, that was the first thing that I just kind of picked up on, is because you don't want your background to compete with your primary focus point.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Cool,
That's a
man.
great
Thanks.
point, man.
You
That's a
have,
great point.
Yeah.
you have the right amount of contrast with your warms and your cools. I'm definitely seeing, like, I like what you did with that area all the way up to the upper right of the conch shell, and how you have just the right amount of dark blue there behind that conch shell to create that nice edge, that
Yeah.
nice light edge. I think if that part was lighter, I don't know if it would have the same kind of an effect. I think those upper corners in the background could stand to be just a hair lighter. That way they're not really competing with that nice dark area that you have in the middle of the conch shell.
It's like light. It's like light on light, basically. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're seeing?
More like you just have two competing contrasting areas.
Okay.
From
Yeah.
the dark in the middle of the shell, which you really want to emphasize, because you
Yeah.
want that full dynamic value range from pure white to pure black.
Mm-hmm.
But because you have such a dark blue area in those upper corners, it's
Right.
pulling my attention away from that dark part right in the middle of it.
Yeah, you're totally right, man. That's definitely gonna make a big difference. Just kind of keep all the dark tones in the background, you know, as it gets closer to the shell where the dark tones are. Like just kind of eliminate all these dark tones
I mean,
up
you
on
don't
the
have to
top.
eliminate all of them. You know,
But
maybe just
definitely,
tone them down a hair, you know,
sure.
just to give them just a little bit of a less contrast.
Mhm.
That's really going to make that super dark part in the middle of the conch shell stand out way more.
Right. Would you recommend like a muted kind of tone instead of this like rich blue?
Yeah,
Or because
absolutely.
it just calls all the attention to it, right? Because it's such a glossy color.
I don't know.
It's
I don't.
intense.
I think if you toned it down a little bit and made it a little bit less of a pure chromatic tone, right?
Exactly.
Maybe gray it out a tiny bit, but you still
Mhm.
want to keep that nice rich blue there because that gold and that yellow light that you have coming from the lighthouse, that's being complemented by that nice vibrant blue tone that you have behind it. So you don't
Right.
want to lose too much of that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna try it out. I'm just gonna, you know, layer it, open up a layer
Yeah,
and see, test it
give
out.
it a shot. Give it a shot. What's the worst
Cool.
that can
Yeah,
happen, right?
really appreciate the observations, man. And I needed them. I was kind of stuck with that. So there was something off.
Yeah. It looks great though, Bruno. I love the edging that you've done on it. I love that translucent area, like on the conch that's kind of coming through from the background
Yeah.
and stuff. It's like that muted version of that same color coming through is fucking great, dude. It's like, yeah, you can almost like see through. It's a very translucent, opaque kind of texture to it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Glad you dig it.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
I'm gonna have you guys do mine. I'm gonna have you guys do mine real quick. Is that cool?
Yeah.
I was gonna say let's get Rashab's. Why don't you give us a little bit of insight? What do you see?
Um, I think like whatever you guys have suggested is like I completely agree with that. Also, maybe you can change something about it by bringing it further by I don't know what style of piece you're going to create. Like, is it going to be more realistic, or it's going to be more like a semi-realistic tattoo style piece? But then you can always bring it forward by giving an outline to the part that you want to have stand out the most. Maybe have the conch shell to be outlined and not the background.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Like the oval outline thing. Sure. Yeah, definitely. It kind of like the things that prioritize the elements are on the background instead of the
Yeah,
foreground.
because if the conch shell is the main priority, is the main piece, the main focus, then maybe have that stand out the most.
Yeah, yeah.
Good
Cool, man.
observation.
Thank you, man.
Awesome,
Appreciate
man. Awesome.
All right, my turn.
All right.
it. Let's see it.
Here you go.
Oh wow. Okay. I like what you did with the color scheme. I think the purple's dominating it.
Yeah.
I
takes it-
definitely either tone that down. Like, do you really need it all the way to the right of that ship?
I don't think so. I don't even think I need the purple really at all. I think if anything, it needs to be next to the ship, and that's about it. And then bring those like olives.
I
Well,
like having it there because it brings a complement to all that nice teal and dark seafoam that you have going on outside of the conch shell.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think it helps bring that forward a little bit more. I just don't know if you would need quite as much of it.
Yeah.
Like what you
Okay,
did with that.
I can get rid of some of that purple, no problem.
I'd say maybe bring some more of that pale yellow in.
Yeah.
Well,
Even
I mean,
though,
if you want that light source to be your primary emphasis,
Mhm.
then that needs to be a bit brighter, and you need to have a little bit more of it to really draw your eye to that part, especially if you make it a more pure chromatic yellow,
Yeah,
where it's like very visually intense. Then all of those other muted tones that you have in the conch shell, those dark muted down sea foam, even some of that muted down purple that you have in the water,
yeah.
if you create that yellow and you keep it a more pure chromatic yellow,
Uh-huh.
that is immediately going to draw your eye to it and make it so that you're like, whoa, okay, that's the light source.
Okay, so more intense yellow towards the background of the lighthouse and the conch shell.
Also, look at the perspective that you have on those light rays coming towards us, like
Yeah.
especially the one coming towards us over top of that boat, right?
Yeah, yeah,
As that's coming towards us, wouldn't that get wider?
yeah. I would think so. That's what I was nervous about adding more to it, but I should just go ahead and follow the gut. It's
Well,
got to
create a
be
new layer and give it a shot.
it's got to be
right?
softer too. Like the edges have to be a little less clean. They have to be a little more like fuzzed out, like blurred, because they're closer to the viewer.
I like the way that you have a lot of those more intense light rays that are all pointing back to the center of that lighthouse, though. That's
Yeah,
really trying to bring your eye back there,
yeah. Okay,
and really create that as a very strong focal point.
okay.
You know, even those spines that you have coming off of the conch shell are
Mhm.
all pointed more up and curving up and in.
Yeah,
That's bringing your eye forward and up to
right.
to bring our attention to the lighthouse. I think one question you have to ask is, where do you want the observer to look?
Yeah, towards the lighthouse for sure.
Right? So
Mhm.
if that's the case and you really want to put your primary emphasis on the lighthouse,
Mhm.
then you're doing everything right. I would say just make it a little bit more dramatic.
Okay. And
Bring that halo around the lighthouse, bring that out a little bit more. That corona that you have around it,
yeah.
make it bigger.
Okay.
Pull that eye in, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
As it stands right now, just color wise and compositionally, I almost feel like you're trying to make the skull inside the conch shell a focal point,
Right.
which
And
is fine, which is
mhm.
totally fine.
Yeah.
You know, and if that's the case, that's cool. Then you want to tone down that light source and
Right.
push that further into the background.
Yeah. No, I think I can see what you're saying. It's almost like it's the top and bottom that are more like competing with each other, like you said before, Bruno's, for example. So I want to I think maybe take some blues or something like that, or some of those same like muddy teals and kind of brush it over that skull a little bit more too, to give it that like underwater kind of look a little bit more and,
Absolutely.
and muddy it
Because it
down a
is
little bit.
underwater.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And by doing that, that's going to tone that like yellow ochre down a little bit more.
Right.
And it's going to force that to be a bit more muted,
Yep.
which is fine, because if you don't want that to be your primary emphasis, then you want that to be muted down and neutralized a little bit more. That's going to allow that yellow to stand out even more and become a much stronger focal point.
Yeah. I gotcha.
It's a badass piece, man.
That's
Thank you.
sick, though.
I
Dude, the
appreciate it.
composition alone, what you did with the light source on that ship,
Yeah.
mwah,
All right.
beautiful.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Those very abstract kind of like textured clouds in the background
Yeah.
definitely lend itself to the piece, man. That is
hmm
like that, having those obscured in the background and not very detailed at all, but still there to
Yeah.
the point that you can see what they are.
Hmm.
Yeah, it
Not
tells you
only
a
that,
story.
but you have those like fluffy linear or those fluffy circular shapes combined with the linearness of those waves towards the bottom
Yeah.
creates another element of contrast. You know, so you really get the idea. I think if you just tone down that part that's under the water a little bit more,
Yeah.
I think it's really going to have the effect you're going for.
Yep. Yeah, you got the right idea with that. We're going with the making it look a little more underwater with the turquoise or the blue tone and yeah, submerging it a little bit more. It's kind of the situation where everything is so cool that you want everything to be tight, and you know what I mean. But in this particular case, you know, like yeah, like the lighting, I guess, right? Like some adjustments and like it's such a badass piece, man. Like, but like for example, I see like I think Jason said it right, like the concha on the top, like it's not being affected by the light of the lighthouse, right? So maybe like some little key like spots that stick out or whatever where the light will hit it, like little dots, but not too much that you like, you know, bring so much attention to it, right? But I don't even know if I'm right about that because it looks so good the way it is, you know, that I don't know, maybe I don't necessarily know if that would make it better, but that's what I would have done, I guess.
Okay. I'll put a new layer and I'll try both of them out.
So good, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude.
So good, dude.
And you probably whipped that out in like what, an hour?
No, it took a little bit longer than that, man. It's excuse me, pretty much the whole flight home, all the whole time I was in the airport, everything, every chance I
Okay,
got.
so 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's got some interest. The boat and there's like a lot of precision, man.
Thank you. You guys see the little dudes in there?
Oh,
Ah.
damn.
And then there's a little dude up on the what do they call that? The bird
Bird's
house
nest.
or whatever they call it.
The
What do they call it? The bird's nest. Yeah, bird's nest. Yeah.
Dude.
But this was pretty much like what, you know, when Jason was talking to me about things that I could work on as far as my approach to color, their involvement with each other, and also cure, and like my composition and stuff like that. And I remember this was in relation to the tattoo and like my tattooing technique when I was layering all that color and stuff like that. And Jason pretty much goes, slow down a little bit. I was like, all right, I got you. And, you know, because I was like pretty rough with that guy the other day, and I don't want to be like that. You know what I mean? But I was just trying to get as much done as I could and slow down a little bit. I was like, all right, dude, I got you. But it was cool, you know, like, man, to have another tattoo artist be able to be like that honest with me is like been so helpful just already. You know what I mean? Like since last night, you know, and so it's fucking great, dude.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, life is not a race, man.
Yeah.
It's not. And it's something that I think we all end up forgetting at certain points is that we're not in a race to the finish line.
Yeah.
You know, if we slow down and we take our time and we enjoy the process, we would be absolutely astounded at those effects that it has.
Right on. I agree.
So true.
Fucking A.
Yeah, it's something I have to remind myself of quite often. And it's something that has served me well in the past is take your time and enjoy the process of creating. Because when we start to lose that joy that we have when we're creating different works of art, that's when it becomes more a chore than a labor of love. Absolutely,
dude. And that's the thing, like you get, what is it? We've talked several times about like the tattoo process, the tattoo setup, and eliminating those unnecessary like distractions that can create like an anxiety or a rush. You know what I mean? And I think that can relate to what you're saying right now. You know what I mean? Like the more shit you throw in it, the more pressure you put on it, the worse it's going to be, right? So if you just like take the time and think about what it is that you're doing and appreciate it instead of fucking feeling so rushed, that you can actually learn from it or just be involved with it, dude. So
yeah, I forget, there was a French term that I believe applies to this situation, and I could be wrong, so I'm Googling it right now. Yeah, laissez-faire or
Okay.
laissez-faire.
mm-hmm.
It's a policy or attitude of letting things take their own course without interfering, right? Take your time. Let things evolve on their own. Enjoy enjoy the evolution of it.
Yeah.
You know, let it take on its own life and its own atmosphere and its own personality. Don't try to force it. Don't try to rush it. You know?
It's pretty cool because that can relate to a lot of different cultures' perspective on that same scenario too. You know,
Absolutely, man.
like you just got to let shit go. It is what it
And by
is.
once again, I'm gonna state this out there. By no means am I like an authority on art. By no means am I anyone that you ever have to actually listen to. I'm just giving you my own 2 cents.
Yeah.
Right. This is just what I see. This is just my observations and my own personal opinion. You know,
Yeah.
I'm no authority on fine art. I'm no expert on it, and I know that I still have a lot of growth that I need to accomplish, and I know that there's still a lot of things I need to work on and improve. So this is just my own 2 cents and my own opinion.
Cool.
You know, if you see what I'm seeing and you agree with me, great, but you don't have to by any means.
Well, that's a cool part. You're not, like you said, you're not making an authority. You're just saying this is a conversation. Let's at least like
Absolutely.
open that gate. You know what I mean? Open that door.
Yeah, but we are getting to that point in time, so I'm gonna go through and let's do some quick sign-offs. Ricardo, I'll start out with you. I'm gonna spotlight you. Go ahead and give us a little sign-off.
It's great to be here with you today, Jason. Bruno, Rashab, man, it's great to meet you. My name is Ricardo Sturdivant, tattoo at Candor Tattoo in Normal, Illinois. I love being on these Sunday talks with Jason. You know, if you guys get a chance, drop in, say what's up, give us your opinion on some art, ask us some questions about what we think about tattoos, life, all that good stuff, man. It's always a good time. As always, Jason, thank you, man. And I look forward to the next time, dude.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Mhm.
Cool, Rashab. I'm gonna go through. I'll spotlight you for everyone. Give us a little sign off. Tell us where people can reach you if they're trying to get a hold of you and get tattooed or commission a painting or a drawing.
Yeah, but first of all, like I really want to thank you all for having me in this. I had really an amazing time listening to your thoughts, your story, and I love the fact that you're all being so honest with your opinions. Like the input that you give in for the work, it's amazing, I think, and there is so much to learn from each other, and it's beautiful. I had a great time, and I'm based in Chandigarh, in a city called Chandigarh in India. I have a studio by the name Immortal Tattoos, and yeah, you know I would be happy to be back again on this session like this again.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for joining us, man. And you are always welcome here every Sunday. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much. Thank you, man. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Cool. Bruno,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Man,
Give us a little sign off, man.
as always, man. Had a blast. It's always great to chat with you guys, and appreciate the critique, and like Rashad was saying, like the honesty involved. It's like we can it can be it's priceless. To get constructive criticism. It helps us grow so much. So yeah, man, I'm definitely grateful for to have this platform, right? To actually have that take place. And yeah, man, nice to meet you, Rishab. And I appreciate everybody's input on everything, and always a great time. Yeah, if you my Instagram is Prismas_art, Prismas_art. And my name is Bruno Salvatierra. I'm here in Miami, Florida.
Excellent. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Bruno.
I'll go through and do the final spotlight. So my name is Jason Leeser. I lead the Sunday afternoon drawing groups here for the Reinventing the Tattoo community. It's always a pleasure to have new faces on and new people join us. You're always welcome to jump in. You can access that by going to the Reinventing the Tattoo app and going under the events area. You can usually find this posted, I think you'll find the Zoom link posted usually about a half hour before the event itself. Thank you again to all of our sponsors, Inkjet Stencils. If you haven't tried those out, it can be a serious game changer if you like doing more realistic stuff. Loose Screw Tattoo with Jesse Smith in Richmond, Virginia. Excellent studio, incredible artists. And if you're ever looking to relocate, take a look, man. It's like a dream job. Cheyenne Tattoo Equipment, leaders in revolutionizing the tattoo industry, quality products, used them for years. Definitely give them a try if you haven't tried them yet. Raw Pigments, thank you very much for Lauren over at Raw Pigments. You are awesome. Feel free to hit us up and maybe try out some samples. Just give Lauren a shout. I'm sure she's more than happy to work with you. Amazing color saturation, unbelievable vibrance, and they last. They're super easy to go in, and they're acrylic free, which is something that it's kind of difficult to find in this day and age when it comes down to tattoo pigments. So thank you guys very much. Oh, and thank you very much to Guy Aitchison and Gabe Ripley. Thank you very much for this whole Reinventing the Tattoo community, without which none of this would be going on right now. And if any of you are really looking to kick your artistic skills up to another level, I've got like a little promo code here for you. It's already less than $1 a day, but with this promo code, it takes the price down even another notch. Once you get involved, and if you really start taking advantage of all of the things that are given to you with your Reinventing the Tattoo subscription, where you can go is incredible. Speaking from personal experience, like my own artistic skills have advanced way beyond where I thought they would be just from joining the Monday night drawing classes with Guy and being a part of these different drawing groups that are being hosted through Reinventing the Tattoo. It's absolutely incredible what you get with the subscription, and they are always adding new content. I know they've got quite a few new things that they're going to be adding over the next few months. And you can't go wrong. You really can't. It's an investment, yeah, but when you look at what you can accomplish with that investment, it's absolutely incredible. So definitely take a look at that if you're really trying to kick your art skills up to another level. So thank you guys once again for joining us. And who knows, maybe we'll see you next week at 1 o'clock on Sundays for the Reinventing drawing group on Sundays at 1 with me, Jason Leeser. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. And as always, cheers.
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 Later.
See you, man. See you guys.
Later.
Guys.